It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Second to last day. Tomorrow's the last day until we move to our new location, which we're transferring. This what you see right here, in here. This is the last thing that we've taken. we're it's all bare everywhere else. We're getting down to it. Tomorrow we do a little bit more, and Saturday it's the big, rush to get all electronics out. And we've been looking at all the wires. Dang, man. Over a couple of years, man, we've added a bunch of wiring. I mean, damn. I was up in the drop ceiling all yesterday, just getting all stuff that went to all the other computers and so on. And wow. What we're going to do in this hour, we have John Green in. AKA, you don't need to know who he is. He won't let you see. But the main thing is that there's a lot of weird stuff going on, and things that just really have bothered me. I'll give you an example. We have an organization called the Goldwater Institute here in Arizona that's been known to be conservative. They make a big deal out of being how libertarian they are and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, oftentimes they advocate for things I'm just going, man, it's going to be hard to defend you guys. Like, they have a senior fellow gets appointed. We have, they put on top of their letterhead, big guy, John, I vote, brought back the TARP Shattuck. I'm going, wow, really? Then they're really pushing Jeff Flake to run for U.S. Senate to take the retiring Kyle's position, which I believe was always the plan from way back in the day. I've known Jeff Flake since early 90s, and I could see where this was going. He had a path, and that path is to be on top of the heap. And here comes the U.S. Senate thing. He believed that it was in his interest to vote for extension of the Patriot Act. He voted for it to begin with. That's why we ran a veteran, a libertarian, against him for U.S. Congress because of his Patriot Act vote. He extended it. But he's a freedom guy. Just ask him. He'll tell you all about it. So I'm really concerned about the Goldwater Institute and who they're really answering to and for. So somebody's got to keep them accountable. That's what we do here. Plus, we have a lot of domestic Arizona legislation that's being introduced and passed and forwarded. Now we just pretty much, it's so bad that we're just ignoring. I mean, whatever. In the end, freedom always wins. It just gets really messy first, and the mess is starting to come. Let me introduce you to John Green. What are we going to be talking about today, John?
Well, we'll talk a little bit about the Goldwater Institute, but I'd like to talk about what appears to be the Mark of the Beast bill that was just passed by Senate President Russell Pierce. And you got to see what's in here. We'll get into it during this hour, I imagine.
Well, go ahead and let's start off with that, seeing as how you got top of mind. Tell me what's going on.
Well, what's the Mark of the Beast? I mean, I don't mean to be dramatic about it, but, whether you're spiritual or not, it's described in detail in its source document where it comes from, which is Book of Revelations. And that's something that you have to wear, or else the beast kills you. And this is how you know it's Mark of the Beast. Number one, it's in or on your forehead. And two, it's in your hand. And secondly, if you don't have it, you can't engage in lawful commerce.
When they started really integrating the Social Security number as your national ID, which it was never supposed to be, That was the promise, but we know better. So when it started becoming more and more prevalent, it started to become very obvious how this might happen. And if you look, I've read the Bible straight through a couple times. Okay, I did my bit, man. And reading Revelation, in the 70s and early 80s, I was all Hal Lindsey, reading the apocalypse, here it comes kind of stuff. And I'm going, okay. I kind of got the gist from reading the Bible that it was an understanding that you always will have central authority that wants to track everybody. That's all these censuses are about. It's who can and can't trade. The mark of the beast might be not what you have on you, but what they lop off of you. It's kind of this
is very specific. I mean, it says.
Now, let me go ahead and finish my point. Right. My point is this. Throughout history, it has been demonstrated, since the pharaohs, in biblical times, even before recorded history, that there is always going. I will make this prediction right now. Over the next 100, 200 years, 2,000 years, I guarantee you that there will be an entity or individual, because they will do their best to track all the livestock in their control, their jurisdiction. And that includes people. Guarantee it. They're going to want to do it, and technology has given them the ability to do it even more. So to think that the people that want to rule you don't want to know everything about you, your bioscans, you're going through all the machines, your X-rays, your healthcare account, de la, HIPAA, you got to put it into one database. We know everything. I'm CIA. Kick them here as Lego break. I mean, it's amazing to think that this wouldn't happen, and how long it's been predicted. So now let's go into the details of this particular Arizona legislation. And do you know that it's being introduced all over the country? I bet you it is.
Well, this one was pretty astounding. So it's probably coming in other states. But real quick, back to the mark of the beast. You got to have it in your hand, on your mind, or in your forehead, right? And if without it, you can't engage in commerce. You can't buy or sell, which presumably means you can't legally drive, you can't legally get a bank account, you can't legally buy a home, you can't legally go to school, you can't legally travel, you can't legally do all kinds of things. So here's Senate Bill 11 comes along. Now, unless you have an Arizona driver's license issued on or after 1996, which is when Arizona driver's licenses under Russell Pierce were mandatorily put into the National driver's registry.
Okay, now you got to spend a little time on that. A lot of people don't know that Russell Pierce was the director of Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yep.
He advocated. He started all this.
And he's the one who put
Social
Security numbers, required them on driver's licenses, and integrated our driver's licenses into the National Driver's Registry. So he knows exactly what he's doing with referencing back to Arizona driver's licenses issued on or after 1996. So here it is. If you can't show your government identity to a government commissar upon request, then under Russell Pierce's Senate Bill 1611, you cannot operate a vehicle in Arizona. You cannot enroll a student in any school. You cannot attend a community college or university. You cannot get any benefits. Yeah, that might be arguable, okay. You can't get a vehicle title. You can't purchase a new vehicle. You can't register a vehicle. You can't get public housing. Yeah, maybe that's okay. You can't get a fingerprint card, which means you can't work in a lot of industries. You can't get any sort of license in Arizona, including driver's license, marriage license, or any kind of license. Additionally, it permits anybody authorized by the state or federal government to determine your legal American citizen, your immigration status. How do they do that? Well, under SB 1070, Arizona dumped its driver's license and all licenses database in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security National ID database, finally consolidating the Arizona any license as a national ID, linking it up to the federal national ID database. Whoa, here it is. This is where it comes around in SB 1611. So this then allows anyone authorized to ask you for your ID and check it against Homeland Security anytime they want.
Homeland Security database. What do you think this is all about? SB 1070, we were screaming this. This whole thing was about making everything a license, everything an ID, and everything going to the federal government. Janet Napolitano knows everything. Yay. We'll talk about more when we come back.